He totes purging right now.
America.
From sea to shining goddamn sea.
God bless our new founding fathers. We toast and steal the shit from BioShock.
Is there elements of BioShock in that movie?
The new one, the name of which kind of escapes me. It's
BioShock
like,
Infinite?
Yeah, they kind of have the same sort of founding fathers thing, but they didn't steal very much of it.
Oh, okay.
Reminiscent for me. But I liked it, you didn't.
Not really. I didn't hate it, nor was I really all that mad, but several things really, really annoyed me about this movie. A lot of them I'll kind of get into a little bit later, but I guess to start off with, I'm not entirely convinced this Purge thing's a good idea.
You don't say. This is dystopian, man.
This seems like it would be, and this is me just kind of joking, but like, kind of joking about the plot, but like, it seems like it would be political suicide to introduce this idea into the House or the Senate. I mean, man.
Well, that was actually a question that I had, is why doesn't someone just go cap the president? But they actually went over it. They had like a kind of a scroll at the beginning. It was like, this is what the Purge is. And like government levels 10 and above are exempt and can't be harmed during the Purge. Yeah,
and you can't have weapons above like grade 4 weapons and stuff like that. Like, okay, well that kind of makes sense.
Machetes.
Yeah. This explains why no one just sets off a nuclear bomb in the middle of it. Purge! Damn it, why didn't we see this coming?
Purge, let us purge! God, that kid was creepy.
I need to purge. It's our God-given right to purge!
Sweet Sandersons.
Sweet, lovely, dear Sandersons. That kid was good.
He was
good.
Malfoy-looking shit. He seemed familiar, but I don't know what I know him from.
I looked him up on IMDb, and I think it might be that he's reminding me of someone else, but I don't know who.
Yeah, for me he was just reminding me of that Malfoy shit.
Yeah.
We should explain what we're talking about.
The Purge!
The Purge! No, it's like, from the previews, you know, it's like this family, and like the plot of it is for 12 hours every year. Everything's legal, including murder, and rape, which they kind of hinted at a couple times, but never actually like raped anybody.
Yeah.
What was this rated? PG-13?
No, God, no.
Well,
no, this is an R.
The blood. Well, they kept like skirting around the rape issue, so I was wondering if it was, you know, to keep it from getting a harder rating.
R doesn't stand for rape, Sarah.
It does. No, because like, so yeah, for 12 hours every year, everything is legal, and so there's this family that kind of like up jump sort of family where they used to be poor, but the guy owns like a security firm. So after the Purge got enacted, he made like a boatload of money. So he's living in this like fancy pants neighborhood, and all his neighbors are bitches, and so like they do the lockdown, and then shit gets real. And the main villain, it seemed to me, was this group of sort of like yuppie children, who were led by the Malfoy shit, who like were chasing this homeless man down the streets, and the son of the family, who was a moron, like saw him running the streets, like, somebody help me, and so he just like opens up all the floodgates. He's like, oh, come in here, you surely are not a murderer here on this night of murders. And so like the yuppie children are like, give us back our homeless guy, or there'll be more murders.
And let us purge.
We need to purge.
God, find someone else. Jesus. I was getting way distracted through this whole thing. And you really kind of hit it right there, of the stupidity of the fucking people in this thing.
They were kind of morons.
Dumb. This is the kind of movie where when they're hiding, they're waving around a flashlight.
The audience was laughing during that part.
Yeah,
he was a kid,
shut it off!
Like, when you've got a kid doing something moronic, you gotta, alright, you know, I did stupid things when I was a kid.
I didn't buy it, because they kind of build this kid up like he's not a dumb kid. Like, maybe if he was 4, but the kid actually, he's built like fucking spy shit out of dolls. I mean, he's
still like emotionally young, you know, you don't make good decisions at that age, no matter how intellectually smart you are.
I still didn't buy it, because clearly this kid's about 12, probably 12 years old, and this Purge thing seems to have been going on for a little while, so he should kind of get it by this fucking point in his life, and there's really kind of no lead up to what he does. He's just like, oh, there's a guy walking down the street, disarm.
There is a lead up though, because like the way I interpreted was the kid was reaching the point in his life where he's like, okay, I grew up with this purge, but I don't really understand it, and I think it's wrong. Because he had that discussion with his parents, where he's like, why don't you guys purge? You know, are you against the purge? Why do we purge in general? We were learning about it in school, and I don't understand it.
But that was
so
then
when he let the guy in, you know, you understood where he was coming from.
I understood it to where he was coming from in the sense that for plot contrivances to get the guy in the house, but that was like one scene
where
all
people really against plot contrivances.
And when like it's distracting, Am I against plot contrivances in general? No, of course not. How many times did I bring you back to life and Hooker? No, of course I'm not, but against it in general. But when it's distracting and when it takes me out of the movie, then there's something wrong. And in this particular case, the kid asks his parents about the purge, but that was it. It was no more than it was in the trailer. It was just like one scene, and it was just kind of like he was just sort of curious about it was all. But I mean, I didn't really buy bringing this guy into the house, and it just made the kid look like an idiot. And the kid's not an idiot. It doesn't seem like he's supposed to be an idiot.
See, because I disagree. You know, I thought that they explained it pretty well. They didn't come out and say like, oh, by the way, this kid this kid is against the purge and, you know, thinks that killing is wrong. They kind of touch on it briefly, and there was a lot of subtlety in this movie. Another thing I noticed was like the homeless guy, like turned out to be like, spoiler alert. Give him a pause. Turned out to be like a badass killer at the end of it.
Yeah, it was good.
And like. At first, you don't understand, well, you know, how's this guy so, you know, brilliant with weapons? But, like, briefly, when they're tying him up, he's got dog tags on.
Well, yeah.
And that's, like, the only thing that they're like, oh, by the way, he's a soldier. They just kind of showed you that and assumed you'd make the connection.
I mean, it wasn't briefly that they showed that. You saw it around his neck pretty much any time it showed him.
Yeah, but it wasn't, like, zooming in.
No. It didn't.
Oh, you know, he's got dog tags
on. It didn't do it like that. But even if he wasn't a soldier, I could buy that this guy who's been living on the streets would probably know how to take care of himself. A problem I have with this movie, other than some of the stupid shit that the characters do in this thing, is, you know what, this actually is a very original plot. It is. I haven't seen a movie with that kind of backstory about for 12 hours everything's legal. Crime is legal. You can rape a pig in your front yard if you want to. You know, like, and that's fine and all. Like, I really can't think of any movie that's kind of touched on that before. And they use it just to make a home invasion movie. They use it to make, honestly, what is Straw Dogs crossed with Precinct 13. It's almost exactly like Precinct 13. Actually, it's from the writer of the remake of Precinct 13, so that makes sense. And so, for me, that's a huge missed opportunity with this film, because and you know, I could really forgive that if I thought that as a home invasion movie it worked. I didn't even think it worked as a home invasion movie.
I think it did. You know more from Precinct 13 than I do. I did see Straw Dogs, and I agree that it drew from that movie, but I think that it was a good way to establish the difference between the purgers and the people who were just kind of along for the ride, you know, because you had your defenders, you know, your family, and then you had the people who, you know, were going kill crazy. And I did want to mention that, the family was moronic, but I think that was in keeping with the whole purge plot, you know, because it sets up a dystopian society, and there's no one to really root for, because everyone's kind of been twisted by this wrong turn that this society made.
I found the family. I found Ethan Hawke easy enough to root for. I found the mom easy enough to root for. I didn't think he was an unlikable character. I didn't.
He had his moment of redemption, like, in the third act of the movie, but, like, for the most part, it was, oh, the crazy people outside want this homeless guy, let's duct tape him to a chair, you know, shove him out the door.
I can buy that. I can totally buy that.
I can buy that. Doesn't mean I'm gonna root for him, though.
Well, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna root for him, because I can't say that if I was put in that situation where a bunch of motherfuckers outside my house are gonna break in and probably rape and kill my family.
Just because you can see yourself doing that doesn't mean it's a laudable decision.
But it also doesn't mean that I'm gonna not root for somebody if I sort of understand where he's coming from. And
well, I can sort of understand where most of the people in this movie are coming from.
I don't mean in the sense of like, okay, I get it, it's Purge and they're going around killing people. I don't mean it like that. I mean like on a morality basis. Like, what would I do if I'm put in that situation? This awful situation that this guy is put in, and if that's the route that he goes, you know what? I get it. I'm not saying that if I was put in that situation, is that what I would do? I don't know. But I'm saying, like, if I would do that in that particular situation, it's not that unrealistic, because when it gets down to it, he's just trying to protect his family.
I know, and I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying that I wasn't rooting for him, because I think that everyone in this movie was kind of a bad person, except for a homeless guy. I
wouldn't say that makes Ethan Hawke a bad guy. I don't think that makes him a bad guy.
It makes him just a guy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes him just a guy.
That's what I liked about the movie, is there wasn't like, okay, this is the person you're rooting for, and go. Everyone was wrong in their own special way.
Rooting in the sense of like, was I rooting for him to sacrifice that guy to save his family? I can't really say that necessarily, but I wasn't rooting for him to die.
Oh, well, no, I wasn't rooting for, in that sense, I wasn't rooting for the family to die.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, okay, that's my guy. Everything he's doing is awesome.
And I didn't even really think this worked that much as a home invasion movie, because I didn't think it was very suspenseful. I thought it was mostly just kind of funny.
Boy, I sure did.
I didn't. I really didn't, because every single kill in this movie is exactly the same.
Well, the kill is the cum shot. That doesn't build your suspense.
Well, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, it got to the point to where I knew exactly how every kill was going to go, because it does it about 6 or 7 times in the movie. Somebody is in danger. Somebody's in danger and is a second away from dying. I swear to God, about 6 or 7 times in this movie. I was practically counting by the end of it. I really was, because it kept happening exactly like this.
I could tell more and more as the movie went how much you weren't liking it.
Well, I mean, I wasn't mad or anything like that. It's not a boring film. It's not. But that still doesn't mean I liked it. I'm still glad we were at that as opposed to the internship.
This is true.
Oh my God. But every single kill in this movie happens a second before a villain is about to kill one of his victims, and then somebody behind him has a gun and shoots him about 12 times in the back.
I agree with you there.
That was every single kill in this thing.
And for me, that didn't ruin the movie, though.
It didn't. Well, I mean, I have other problems besides that, but that was annoying. I mean, that was certainly one of them. It really was one of the problems I had with this movie, was that. And also, you could have done a lot with this plot. You really could have. You could have made a really, really satirical film with it. Do I think that this is a terrible home invasion movie? No, I've seen worse. That Nick Cage one we watched was way worse than this.
See, that movie was boring. This movie was not.
No, I wouldn't say that it was boring, and honestly, if you want to see it as a comedy, because I thought it was mostly a comedy, then, you know what, you might get some entertainment out of it. But you could have made a really, really intelligent, smart, satirical film out of this plot. Maybe something like Spiral or a movie like that is maybe sort of like do it kind of like an anthology that's showing different stories going along on this night throughout the country. I mean, you could have done something original with it. Could the home invasion part of it been an aspect of that? Sure. But this is a pretty original backstory for a movie I've seen a million goddamn times.
And maybe that's the difference, because I haven't seen nearly as many horror movies as you have.
I'm not even saying horror, I'm just saying home invasion in general. I mean, there's a million of them, a million home invasion movies that play exactly like this movie. You have the daughter who doesn't get along with her dad, and she has a shitty boyfriend.
I hated that daughter.
Yeah, me too. You have the son who's kind of smart and has his own secret hiding spot that I've seen a million times in these movies. You have a guy like Ethan Hawke who's just a normal guy, and then like Straw Dogs, he's put in a situation where he's got to be pretty violent to save his family. I've seen it so many times, and something really, really smart probably could have been done with this plot other than something like that. And is it one of the worst home invasion movies I've seen? No, it's not. But to me, that's really disappointing about this thing, and kind of comes across as just sort of a missed opportunity for me.
So you wanted a more original plot, maybe like a more original setting, and a more satirical tone to it?
I just wanted it to be more original than a home invasion movie.
I'm just saying, it sounds like you want Death Race 2000.
because that was about the... Well, I mean, Death Race... Okay, I mean, I don't want the exact same movie as Death Race 2000. I mean, you can do... There are plenty of movies you can do that kind of take a dystopian society and whatever strange laws that they have and do something with that, and it won't be like Death Race 2000.
Well, I just mentioned that because, like, okay, it sounds like Death Race 2000. Death Race 2000 is such a better movie than this movie was. But I'm just saying that this was good. I'm not saying it wasn't without flaws, but I was deeply disturbed by it, and I guess I can't really vocalize why, but, like, I thought that, I caught the tone of it, I think, a little more to what they were intending than you did.
I think you were the only person in the theater who was, because pretty much everyone else was laughing. I mean, I don't mean that, like, I think they felt the movie was bad. I mean, the audience which was packed, by the way. Jesus Christ.
Well, first of all, it was packed with teenage girls who are going to laugh at pretty much anything, especially when they're scared.
No, I mean, I thought this was different than, this was a different kind of laughter than, like, going to see, like...
The girls next to me were terrified.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, the guys...
They were, like, clutching on... Because that's why they kept giggling, because they kept, like, jumping in tandem, and it was making them laugh, and it was bugging the crap out of me.
Oh, for me, like, it was much different than, like, going to see, like, when I was at the first Paranormal Activity, where someone would scream, and then there would be audience laughter. For me, during this, I was mostly just hearing laughter. Every now and then, when there was a jump scare, yeah, there would be, like, a scream. But the audience applauded after every fucking death scene in this thing. Okay, right on. I mean, yeah, you know, like, if you're into the movie, it's not... I mean, it's not a boring film. It's not the worst fucking movie I've seen all year long. I think the performances in the movie are solid.
Lena Headey? Is that
yeah.
She was fantastic.
She was great. I thought Ethan Hawke was really good. I thought the villain was good. I just wasn't really into the thing. There were too many fucking stupid-ass dumb shit fucking characters in this thing that was distracting the holy living fuck out of me. And... it's just something I've seen a million times. I have. I mean...
I'm gonna touch on all your points. The stupid characters, I actually enjoyed that, because I don't... I like when people make the wrong decision in movies. Not, like, so wrong that you can tell that they did that just so that they'll get in trouble, but, like, wrong enough that you think, okay, this person's in a high-stress situation. Maybe they're gonna be an idiot with their flashlight. You know? As far as seeing the movie a million times before, I haven't seen as many home invasion movies. I thought they did it pretty well. You know, it had the... I think it had a pretty good build-up, you know, with the creepy guys and the fucking doll face masks.
Yeah.
Honestly, they looked less like doll faces and more kind of like the Reagan mask from Point Break.
Oh, right. Or like, fucking, what was that movie with it was a slasher movie with a killer dressed like Reagan. The Tripper.
Okay.
That was pretty funny. It was, he's at a camp for hippies, and he's going around killing hippies dressed as Reagan, and he leaves behind jelly beans after every crime scene.
Political.
I like that movie better than this one.
But no, you know, like, I liked it, you know, I thought it was a decent movie. I wouldn't say, like, run to the theaters and see it 3 times, but I'd say it's worth, maybe see it in theaters on, like, a second run, so you don't have to be in packed fucking theaters, because that theater was packed, and I was surprised.
It was so fucking packed. Jesus Christ, I don't think there was an empty seat in the goddamn place. I seriously thought most people were here to see the fucking internship. I did, because most comedies like that I go to seem to be fucking packed. Goddamn fucking Hangover 3 sure as shit was. But I maybe if you haven't seen that many movies like this, then you probably honestly won't be as distracted as I was during this thing, and, you know, maybe you might like it. For me, personally, I'm just kind of burnt out on home invasion movies. I am, especially one that actually has a fairly decent setup to it. I kind of want to know what those political discussions were sort of like whenever this purge was introduced into politics. It's like, really? Somewhere along the line, politicians grew balls. Like, we can't fucking legalize pot, but hey, for 12 hours, you can fucking kill your neighbor. Well,
like, the point of the purge is like, oh, you know, to get rid of poverty and crime, and I could understand sort of getting rid of crime, just because, you know, if you want to murder somebody, you'd be like, all right, wait for the purge.
Just gotta wait for the purge.
But how does it stop poverty, except for the fact that you're killing all the poor people because they can't afford to...
I think that's kind of why, because, I mean, they're hunting homeless guys in this freaking thing.
Yeah,
hey, where'd all the homeless people go?
They were definitely getting at something, but I couldn't figure out what the fuck it was, because, like, the guy's like, when the bad guy's knocking on the door, he's like, Sandersons, I know you're like us, you're the haves as we are. You know, so I guess it's supposed to be like, rich people would murder you if given half a chance? Maybe it's like some sort of capitalism thing?
They use the Purge to basically just act like fucking 5-year-olds at a mental institution. Like, they're going around in the background like they're fucking, like, in a haunted house film.
Well, no, because, like, you had your two main murdering groups. You know, you had the children who wanted to kill someone who was poorer than them.
Yeah.
And then you had the other neighbors who wanted to kill someone because they were richer than they are.
Yeah.
And again, it seemed like they were getting at something. I just had no idea what it was.
I think they just wanted to make a movie where you had a bunch of people in fucking masks chasing after Ethan Hawke.
See, I don't mind movies about it, just like, bunch of people in masks chasing Ethan Hawke, and they want to stick in a couple of half metaphors, and that's fine by me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just, for me, I was just too distracted by a lot of shit in this fucking movie, and also, I didn't think it was scary. And by the end of it, I was kind of done with it. I was kind of done with it by the end of this thing.
I was scared mostly because Draco-looking guy was really, really creepy, and Lita Headey was screaming her head off, and it was amazing.
Yeah, but I knew they weren't going to die. I knew someone was going to come up behind them and save them, because it had happened 7 or 8 times in the movie.
Okay, well, I didn't actually expect all the main characters to die in the middle of the movie. That doesn't mean I wasn't scared.
The middle, that was the end.
Well, she was screaming throughout the entirety of it.
Oh, I was just talking about the ending scene where they were surrounding...
Oh, okay, I'm talking about, like, when the masky people actually got into the house, and they're, like, dragging her, and she's like, no, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me.
Oh, okay.
Like, screaming and sobbing, and it was really, really good.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, she's good in it. I didn't, spoiler, I didn't expect Ethan Hawke to get killed.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I didn't expect Lena Headey to bash that woman in the nose with the butt of her rifle.
That was good.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was good, and that was actually one of the better scenes in the movie, because that scene provided at least a little bit of the satire that they could have done with this plot, in that, like, putting these people together in a room, neighbors who were there to kill you because crime is free and you have to spend the morning with them. And there's, like, that awkwardness, like, you know, and this is kind of, we're not inviting you over anymore. You are no longer welcome to Bad Movie Night.
I like, too, that she was, like, kind of trying to force them to do the fake patter that they were doing in the beginning of the movie. Like,
yeah.
How did you like the party? Fuck yourself. I'm sorry, what was that? It was lovely, thanks for asking.
I liked that, because that was a relatively smart scene, and really nothing else in the movie was like that. So for me, it was more just kind of disappointment, because I think a much, much better movie could have been made about this. And you know what? Maybe if it was to work as, like, an anthology film or something like that, say that there's another movie in this universe that is about something else, another group of characters, another story. Okay, you know, maybe that might work. Maybe something like that could work. Like, you just have, like, kind of an anthology of movies that are only linked together and that they all take place during the Purge.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, that would actually be kind of interesting. And honestly, if that happens, I would probably be a tiny, tiny bit more fond of this movie, because then I'd be like, okay, well, that's all right. I see what they're doing here now. But as it is, even as a home invasion movie, it's like, I've seen this goddamn movie before a lot. Like, it has a lot of qualities to Precinct 13.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't like it.
Oh, I've seen much worse this year.
Although you were saying that you want a dystopian movie that's more clever. I heard that they're making a movie out of the book Wool, so you'll probably like that. It's
I read books.
Books are for chumps. No, it's like some guy wrote this short story that, like, went over so fantastically well that they turned it into a book, and then the book went over so fantastically well they can be turning it into a movie, and I think you'll probably really like it.
Nice.
Because it's the same sort of, like, in the future and everything has gone wrong, and it's a little bit more clever about it, I think, than this movie was.
Right.
I don't want to ruin anything for you, so I can't tell you anything
Spoiler.
more. But go see Wool in, like, 2 years when it comes out. I guess is what I'm getting at.
Oh, I will say, like, in terms of Platinum Dunes movies, it is better than some of their other movies. It's better. They do, like, the remakes, like the Friday the 13th, Chainsaw Massacre, Elm Street, like all those Amityville Horror. It's better than a lot of those. I'll give it that.
They're gonna use that as a blurb on the DVD box.
I'll give it that. Like Platinum
Better than
Dunes.
their other crap.
Yeah, Platinum Dunes did a movie that's not a remake, so.
Except if it was a remake
Well,
of Precinct 13.
yeah, actually, you know what? I fucking take that back, god damn it. Yeah, you thought I was complimenting you, Platinum Dunes. Yeah, the one original idea they have, it's still a goddamn remake, just not in fucking name.
I don't know, man. I liked
Angry.
it.
No,
Go see it, he's crazy. Last word, bitches.
You know what? I guess if you don't see a lot of home invasion movies, then I guess you might get a little something more out of it than I did. For me, it's not that I think it's a terrible movie, because it's not. It's dumb, but it's fucking stupid, but whatever. It's a movie about a fucking purge. So for me, I really couldn't get into it, because everything was just reminding me of a much better movie that I should be watching, and also I just found it to be incredibly redundant with like every single kill in the movie. And even the kills, I didn't think, even when they happened, I didn't even think they were that good in the first place, because it was just a bunch of CGI blood flying at the screen. So I really couldn't get into that aspect of the movie. So I didn't like it. I wasn't mad at it or anything like that. I've seen way worse this year, but I just couldn't get into this movie.
I think if you like dystopias, you might like it. And I mean, for me, thinking about it, it is a home invasion movie, but it's one of the first I've seen where it makes some sense. Because, I mean, in a lot of home invasion movies, it's like, why aren't the police coming? These people are making, like, a hell of a racket. But in this movie, the police they're not coming. You know, these people have to fend for themselves, and it makes sense within the premise. And, I mean, there are aspects of society to glean within this, you know, as you say, sort of prototypical plot, but you have to be looking for them, I guess. So it just depends how much we're getting smoked out. It depends on how much attention you want to pay.
Yeah. Oh, but that's another thing. Like, why can't ambulances exist?
Just not for 12 hours.
Why? What if I just have a heart attack and I need to go to the hospital?
Then you've been purged by God.
How's that my fault? Why can't I at least see a doctor?
You've been purged, blessed by the founding father.
I don't understand why why all emergency services have to be canceled.
I do want to know what the fuck the backstory was, because they kept talking about the new founding fathers. So surely there were like some people who were in charge of, like, you know, touting this plan. Yeah. I want to know who these people were, you know, where they were coming from.
Yeah.
So go see this movie, so they'll make a sequel, so they'll explain this shit.
Yeah, I would watch that. I would, but maybe not if it's just another goddamn home invasion movie anymore.
Do you want to do previews?
Yeah, we'll do previews. Let me just hit pause on here real quick.
Okay.
Well, with it being, like, kind of a horror movie, there were...
Yeah, we got mostly, like, horror movie type.
And you know what? They all kind of seemed like the same movie, but some of them looked really good.
And some of them looked good and some of them looked bad. There was that one that only looked good because the music they were playing.
Oh, You're Next.
Yes.
You're Next, which, again, just...
It looked like The Strangers.
It looked like The Strangers crossed with The Purge. It was just another home invasion movie with people in creepy masks. Mm-hmm. It was a well-done trailer. I'll give it that. Like,
they started out and you kind of felt like, oh, it's going to be one of those, like, Julia Roberts... family together for the holiday type movies.
Well, I had seen that trailer, but this is my first time seeing the trailer in here, which actually was the first time I saw the trailer. I didn't know it was a theatrical film. Like, Brian showed it to me, and he usually shows me, like, trailers for something that's coming out on DVD, so he showed that to me, and I'm like, okay, it's supposed to be some direct-to-video thing, but I guess not. Like, I watched this trailer the same night I watched the trailer for Ooga Booga.
Ooga Booga.
If you haven't seen the trailer for Ooga Booga yet.
Oh my god, watch it twice.
Ooga Booga Booga Booga.
Ooga Booga.
Oh, Ooga Booga.
So yeah, we got that home invasion movie. Yeah. We got a different home invasion. There was
The Conjuring.
Yeah, that one looked good.
That looks good, but I like that director a lot. So.
But plus it had Patrick the Night Owl from Watchmen.
Oh no, that was Insidious too.
No, it was the other one.
Is he in both of them?
Maybe, because in The Conjuring, he was the husband in the husband and wife team.
Oh, all right. I just didn't. He's also in Insidious too. Same cast in all these movies.
It had Ron Livingston too. I saw him.
Yeah, Lily Taylor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one looks good. I want to see that one.
That does look legitimate. That looks like old school 1970s haunted house, like kind of subtle creepy. Like I'm really cool with that.
Plus, I like the idea of following like the Ghostbusters, because it follows like the husband-wife team that are going into this haunted house and trying to oust it, instead of following the family as they're being haunted, and then they call these people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I that comes out sometime this summer, but
Eventually.
I've liked all of the other movies that dude has done.
Yeah, I liked Saw and I liked Insidious.
Yeah, Death Sentence I thought was fucking great. Death Sentence was. I kind of liked Dead Silence even. Like, I mean, it's probably his worst movie, but that's the one about the evil lady with her ventriloquist dummies.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Donnie Wahlberg was in it as Detective Donnie Wahlberg. Like, I kind of thought, I actually kind of thought that movie was okay. Like, I mean, it was stupid, but I was kind of into it, and honestly, it had a twist at the end that I didn't see coming.
Turns out Donnie
Wahlberg
should
have.
Gigantic ventriloquist dummy.
You're not far off. It's not that exactly, but you're not far off. you're not far off with that. But no, it's not Donnie Wahlberg. So I've most of the movies the guy's done I've really liked. So The Conjuring I think looks really good. I think it looks better than Insidious too.
That was just Insidious again.
Yeah, and I loved Insidious. I thought Insidious was really fucking creepy, and the trailer for this is like, I don't know if we needed a sequel to Insidious.
The lady even says, "Oh no, it's happening again." It's like, I think it took the words out of my mouth.
I kind of, considering how this preview looks and how the first one ended, I'm kind of curious, like, how this is all happening in the second one, given how the first one ended. But there didn't need to be a sequel to the Insidious. The Insidious could have just been its own, like, standalone movie. Like, you know what? It might be alright. It's from the same writer. It's from the same writer, so maybe it'll be okay. I'll still go see it, and it...
I probably won't.
I'll let you know how it is.
And I'm only at this horror movie, so I didn't have to see The Internship.
Right. We're both there, so we didn't have to see The Internship.
This is not usually my genre, which may be why I'm so easily amused by it.
Well, and, like, I thought the song Tiptoe Through the Tulips was used to pretty good effect in the first movie.
Oh, I agree.
I didn't think it was used to very good effect in the trailer for Insidious 2.
I didn't even notice.
It plays it when, like, I was like, in the first one, when it starts playing that's kind of creepy. Like, the little kids, like, dancing and shit. And then, like, at the end with all those fucking crazy nurses and fuck. And this one, like, when there's a bunch of action beats happening, it started playing that. I'm like, this doesn't really work when there's a lot of action beats just playing in the background.
I have to admit, I was actually distracted during that preview because I bought a packet of Twizzlers at Walgreens, and I stuck them in my purse, and I felt all wicked. And right when that preview started, the manager walked in, and I like, crap, they're
it's
on
okay
me.
Because
I'm gonna eat these really fast.
No, it's okay because we're at the Purge.
He's gonna purge me, oh no.
That would actually be a really good gimmick. If you go see the Purge, you're allowed to sneak in candy.
But you're also allowed to get shot for it if they catch you.
Well, no, I just mean, like, theater rules, you know? Like, you can sneak in candy, or, like, you're allowed to bootleg it. You're allowed to sneak in a camera.
Only one or the other, though.
Oh, yeah, it can't be both.
Twizzlers, camera.
That would actually be a pretty decent gimmick, honestly. Like, you're allowed to fucking just sneak in candy.
I want to mention, it doesn't really count as a preview, but do you remember that thing in the first look that was built up like a contact lens commercial?
Oh, what the fuck was that?
Jesus Christ! Well, it was like this lady with like this immaculate teal dress and like perfectly coiffed blonde hair, like standing in front of a white sink in a white bathroom, putting contacts in her eyes. And they're like, AccuView contacts, feel so soft, you won't notice they're there. And then blood and insects just start pouring from her eye, and she just falls over on the ground, and it's like, some show. The end. What
the fuck? I was like, okay, well, I can't wear contacts anyway, but I'm certainly not fucking going to now.
Well, I do. If I was watching, I'm like, she's not putting those in and right at all. Oh, God!
That's why the bug came out. She did it all her own.
To hold it open.
Fuck that.
It was disgusting. It looked like a cross between like an earwig and a silverfish, which are like the two grossest bugs on the planet.
Yes! And wasn't it something for like fucking Falling Skies or something?
Yeah, it was
like,
Falling Skies.
Yeah, like, does that happen in that show? Do fucking bugs just come from people's eyes when they put contacts in?
Show that.
I had to watch the show to find out. What the fuck was that? That was weird. But
That to me was the creepiest thing that happened all evening.
honestly, yeah, that was creepier than anything that happened in the Purge.
Well, that's not what I meant.
But that was about it. Uh-oh.
I think Jake's gonna purge us.
He can't kill me. It's not the Purge.
He's biding his time, doing laps around the car.
Shit. Well, I've got the keys. We could just drive away.
Bye, guys, Mert.
Dave will make it home somehow. All right. Well, we're gonna get them in here to talk about the internship, which I'm guessing
I
wasn't
bet they
good.
loved it.
Bye.